Proper 40. I mean, it really is a study in harmonics.
Yeah. And he should have called it a study in natural harmonics because there are no false harmonics in here.
It
And I
is
kind of wish there were.
it is false advertising actually because
Yeah.
you would think if it was a study in harmonics it's going to cover everything, you know,
Yeah.
and actually it doesn't give me all the skills I need. So I don't know what
It's
it is.
it's a very specialized one, isn't it?
It
I
really
remember when I was younger and I had this book and you thought 40, it's the end one. It's going to be the end all be all, the greatest, the whatever. And it's just more like extended technique in a very, very specific area of cello playing, isn't
were
it?
you let down when you learned these as a younger cellist that like it wasn't the hardest thing you ever had?
Do you know what? I think I was like totally like punishing myself because I think I learned this after like a failed orchestral audition in the
Oh
US.
wow.
Like sat in a practice room after. Yeah, no, it was not a good. We're gonna redo the juju with
I was
Popper
just
40
gonna
though
say,
today.
I'm so glad that we have an excuse to do it in a lovely, happy manner so you can get rid of that forever because that is just not fun. You should
I
never
know.
go and play the cello after something like that. You have to go and, like, I don't know, eat ice cream. And
Oh
then people
yeah,
like good juju, as you say.
absolutely, absolutely. But so before we like launch into practicing this, I was trying to think of any specific repertoire that uses this sort of fingering stuff with natural harmonics. Can you think of anything?
I thought, Dance the Elves.
Oh yeah.
So even though obviously most of those are fingered up at the top,
Mm-hmm.
with the diddle that bit, it's a similar type of hand position and accuracy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, anything like the Shostakovich sonata. I mean,
Right.
that's fun and frolics,
Well,
compared
yeah,
to
because you just kind of cheat in all the 20th century repertoire and do all that sort of stuff with good old Gliss, don't you?
well, we recorded that this summer, like gone past in
Oh
2020,
yeah. Oh yeah.
and it was really funny because I've spent my life, having loads of fun there, whatever I want to do with it, and then actually for the recording, you really want every note to sound and to be perfect. So
Yeah.
suddenly I was like, all right, things get real in recording. So yeah,
Timing the shifting of your thumb.
yeah, exactly. Or even just, oh, I love that. You should totally do that the next time. That's a great technique. You need to write your own book of KB studies.
Oh
That's
yeah, maybe.
new
Yeah.
techniques.
Down the road. You should write one. Ailbhe's School of Cello Playing.
It'd be so harsh. It would just have things like stop being a total dummy at the top of the
Suck it up!
yeah, just get it right.
So speaking of just getting it right, question for you. I'm curious if we do this the same way. How do you find that very first note, Ailbhe, of the study? That very first D harmonic?
I mean,
You just
basically,
kind of go for it?
I was thinking, you know, the way I look at it on the cello,
Mm-hmm.
how far away it is from the end of the fingerboard.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So for me, when you think of spatial, it might be like a third or something like that. So, but the problem is if you're not right over it, then the rest of them are out as well.
Yeah. Interesting. So I find it a different way.
Jimmy?
It's more mathematical. So I find my normal D harmonic we used to tune, put my thumb there, find the fourth above that, which is a G, and then I go a whole step or whole tone above the G to find that A harmonic, and then the fourth above that is the D where we start. Now, of course, that's super. I do that a lot quicker when I'm sitting there doing it. I kind of do da 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 da. But when I do it too quick, it's not so accurate.
I mean, I love it. I mean, that way is very good. I suppose for me, because it's a study, I'm not performing it anywhere.
Yeah.
Do we need to be giving ourselves a little bit of stress? But I actually do love it because yours is much more efficient than mine. I'm just a chancer. Sometimes I just think that distance, that'll do.
It's good to know lots of different ways, isn't it? Because I think some people watching might have different approaches, or just getting your head around what that is sometimes is.
Well, like any of those Casado suites, you know, where you have to start, whatever that movement is in it, where you have to start like up in the sky.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
that one, yeah.
it's
Second
actually,
movement.
it is good to have those types of ideas. And you're right, I'm laughing about it now, but in performance, you need to have a way so that it doesn't totally fall flat on its face.
Yes. There's also a very well-known method, I'm not going to name names, but the old little pencil tick job. Yes. That's a good one to have in the
I
arsenal.
Find it hilarious because, you know, people actually do use it all the time. I've seen loads of people.
Yeah.
But if there's a pencil tick there, and then you put your finger down, I mean, are you going from underneath it, above it, or is your cello out of tune?
Yeah, I guess you have to just, like, have your own system, you know, and hope that the cello is, like, perfectly in tune and all that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Speaking of it,
yes.
I should probably tune mine. I was just going to say that ideally, if I was playing something like this in public, I'd change my strings beforehand, so my harmonics were actually in tune.
Yes.
However.
Yes. I'm usually a no excuses person, but this is not my usual cello, so it's been interesting to get used to the harmonics on this instrument. I think I would probably be more confident playing this one on my Mr. Darcy cello that's in England at the moment. But we'll.
Oh, so you were working on an instrument that's not actually your own. My God.
It's a good challenge. It's a good challenge. And I think the strings are a bit old on this, so but no excuses, no excuses. So I loved your video, by the way, on how to approach the harmonics. I was gonna offer a little suggestion that I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but I do this sometimes when I have to do harmonics where you wouldn't really want to practice like pressing down the string. Like a lot of times when people practice their harmonics, they'd practice the solid note, right? And then find the harmonic. Well, here I find, you know, the strings are just so high off the fingerboard, or even not, you know, above the fingerboard in the bridge area. So you can't really rely on that pressure. It's not maybe the most effective way of getting used to it. So I kind of do this thing. And, you know, a lot of people will talk about making sure you hit the string very centered with your left hand. But I kind of almost grip the string on the side a little bit to get those notes really to speak. I don't know if that's a...
That's a brilliant idea. I do that as well. I think there's something about where it resonates. Is that right? That actually... I actually really go quite far over on the other side. And apart from anything else, it's not on the cello, but it really does, if you're slightly off center, I think it's a good idea because it does kind of give you just a tiny bit of comfort if you don't quite hit with total accuracy. Yeah. Brilliant.
Then I thought, quick conversation maybe about articulation is sort of maybe worth mentioning, because with harmonics, do you have a different approach to what you would do with articulation? Because I loved what you said about having really flat bow hair near the bridge, like super essential to get harmonics to speak. But do you find you need less or more articulation, or that it's it has to be a more gentle kind of attack?
So I always think I have to actually come off for the staccatos just a little bit, with a tiny bit of a kick for them to sound. And I really need a lot of fingers in the bow for what you would have normally for your staccatos, but otherwise it ends up sounding a bit, you know, like an elephant or something. And I really want it to sparkle, ideally, in a perfect world. So what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I find that we think a lot about, like, the duration of the note when you do harmonics, so like the actual like middle and end of the note, but that the articulation of it has to be, I say more with the fingers than with like an attack of the arm, let's say. It's a more like gentle approach, but it has to be very solid. Like if we're too, I find that the note doesn't always speak.
Yeah, because it also
clearly
kind of bulges off. I also noticed in the practice that sometimes if I had something tricky, I get up to the top note and then the next quaver. So say, for example, in that where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th line. But when we get up there at this, I always found that I did some, and then I just wasn't quite prepared in my bow arm for the second quaver because I was so delighted when I made the note in the first place of the whole run.
I hear you.
You know, so that's an interesting one to watch. And obviously at the very end as well, with that big, giant leaping run where you get up to the top. There, not to have really long, just because you're so excited that you got there.
Yeah.
You know, you really want a good sound quality when you get there as well.
I can't wait to hear how our mics pick up this harmonic business.
Me too.
So scherzando, you know, generally is a fast tempo. I kind of feel like in this study, well, we'll see how we play it, but there maybe needs to be a little bit of give and take, and it's more of a scherzando in character rather than in tempo. What would you say?
You do have to fit in that. So thinking about that being a quaver, you know, if you go too much faster than that, it just becomes mush, really.
Yeah.
I also thought, interestingly enough, that it is more like piano playing, isn't it, when you're playing those? Because you can't use your finger.
Yes.
And sometimes when I noticed a lack of clarity, it was because something had kind of just stayed a little bit too long.
Same, yeah. I've noticed that too.
Yeah, but it's hard because you have to really get your brain in gear right at the moment to go down, up, and piano-like, and then be ready for the next one. There's just a lot going on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Something that looks so innocent on the page.
Yeah, and you think, oh, this one's super repetitive.
Yeah.
You know. The thing is, can you do it twice and get it to speak both times?
Exactly.
You know, tricky.
Well, we shall see, shan't we?
All right, is it that time? Are we gonna have a go?
I think so. Why not?
Okay.
cello. I cannot believe you managed to do that.
Oh. Well done, Ailbhe. Gosh, you made that look easy.
Oh, you're having a laugh. That was very funny. But,
I was thinking that I was listening to this. I'm sure if you like just like gave a little recording snippet of this to somebody and was like, identify this instrument, people wouldn't have a clue. They would be like, what is that?
It kind of sounds fluty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then suddenly we get to this open A string, and it's so like, God, shut up. I did know that I definitely, in my practice, would finish here, and then it'd be like the worst scratch of all time. You know, it was just disgusting. And I found, because it's so light everywhere else, you really have to temper yourself, don't you?
Oh yeah, totally. Absolutely. No, it was really, really wonderful, Ailbhe. And your articulation is so clear and so bell-like. It's really, really, yes.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Joy to hear. Yeah.
That was absolutely fabulous.
Yay. Wonderful. Okay. Well, I'll see you next time.
Cello power.
Woo, cello power. That looks like I'm doing a like honk honk in a lorry. Anyway. Okay. See you later.